Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really
Absolutely.
think it's true. Unfortunately, I don't listen that well, but
Then again, not everybody.
yeah.
There's also the concept of being penny wise and pound foolish. I've seen people like that where they nickel and dime you every chance they get, and then they miss it on the big picture. So you just do whatever works for you, right?
Balance.
It's a balancing act.
It totally is a balancing act. Yeah, I mean,
we say more dollars than cents.
Oh God, I wish we had that problem.
You know, we've rated. We've got a 5-year-old, and we've rated his piggy bank a couple times. You know, and gone to.
There goes your college fund, son. Sorry.
That's right. I said, Victor, we'll pay you back. I promise. But I just need to borrow this right now.
Honey, you don't need to worry about going to college. You're gonna follow Daddy into the meadery.
Oh my gosh, he comes up. He is all about it. He's like, Mom, Dad, we need to do a peach mead. You know, we need to do this. I mean, I don't know what 5-year-olds can tell you more about mead. And he just started kindergarten today, so we're a little nervous about what he's going to tell his teachers. But we're hoping that they're just going to be good clients.
I started making mead when my daughter was just about 5, and we had that talk. It was, honey, you can't tell your teachers that you taste Mommy's alcohol. Mommy will have to go to jail then. And then the other one was, and you also can't sing. What do you do with a drunken sailor in class? So you know, it's.
We've had very similar discussions.
Of course, Mummy just broadcast it to the world.
Yeah,
to the world, yeah. But it's okay now, right?
It's okay now, yeah. Mine's 24, so it's totally okay.
Statute of limitations is up on that one.
It's up on that one, yeah. But honestly, though, kids have utterly clean palates and don't know how to dissemble. So she would, when I was fermenting, she would come and, because I would pull a tasting bit out, to check it on, on the process, and, is it going well, or am I getting fusels, that kind of thing. And she would take a little sip and go, oh, Mommy, it's got this sort of burnt taste. I was like, dang. Because she could taste things that, my 40-year-old palate could. And that was pretty awesome for me, because not only did it let her be, she was helping me, she'd help stir, and, when we racked, she'd hold the racking cane, and, stuff like that. And, so it was a thing that we could do together, but it was also, her palate was invaluable. Yeah. I mean, I didn't let her drink mead, but she, she got to taste it here and there. And she was, she was drinking mead by the time she was, 13 or 14 years old, supervised and not very much.
Yeah. Well, he definitely comes up with some good flavoring, but I'm not sure I totally trust him yet. He also likes fish sticks and yogurt, so... maybe not quite.
Mine just recently stopped living on chicken fingers and French fries, so I totally get it.
But no, it's fun. It's fun because it's part of the family. My mother also lives with us, and so it's really been kind of neat to have the whole family involved with it and excited about it, and even in his young stage, like, oh yeah, he's just excited about what's going on and to be a part of it, and and it's like, oh yeah, we have a meadery, and it's like, it's cool that he's excited about it and makes it that much more enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. It makes for interesting questions at class gatherings and soccer games too. So your daughter tells me that you make alcohol in your kitchen, is that right? It's like, actually I do.
Perfectly legal, what?
But a lot of people don't realize that, so, it's just an interesting question. So.
Until you take money for it, it's perfectly legal. I was actually curious about that. You're talking about the lemon being your best seller. Are you allowed to sell without having your meadery open?
We are open. We have all of our... licenses for being able to sell, and so in Iowa there's different classifications for your liquor license, and so one of our licenses allows us the production and to allow tastings and selling by the bottle, and so that we can do that at events. We can actually do that out of our home now. Even though our room isn't totally under construction, we've had kind of some like pre-construction openings events, and so we're able to sell by the bottle and do that. The other license, one of the other licenses that we have almost finalized, and that's where our construction is finishing, is to allow us to sell by the glass and or charge for tastings. In Iowa, you can't charge for a tasting like you can in some states. You have to give them away free, and so unless you have what they call a Class C license. And so with this additional license, we'll be able to sell by the glass or charge for tastings if we decide to do that. But with that came a caveat that we needed to have restrooms, we needed to have our 3-compartment sinks in our tasting, or, and all those kinds of hand washing and all that extra stuff that you want anyway, but you have to have. And so that was our goal, was like, we know we want to have these kind of things as part of our space. And so we might as well just kind of go that extra step to make sure that, we can get those full licenses to be able to do all those options. And so, we chose to do that. That added some expense and some time and things, and getting all that work done. And like I said, we're planning to be open Labor Day, yet we're still finishing floors and putting hinges on doors and all those kinds of things. But we'll get there.
If it wasn't for deadlines, nothing could ever get done, right?
Yeah, exactly. So there's different types of things. So we're able to do our production, to do tastings, to sell by the bottle, for them to take home or at least off our premise to consume. And so we've been able to do that. Essentially, as soon as our bottles were ready, we were able to start selling. So that was back in April is when we started doing that. So some of those events that we've had is where we've started to get a feel for what do people like, and which ones are their favorite and what's selling the best. And our lemon is definitely selling, double to everything else.
Did you have any trouble choosing a bottle? I recently went to Viking Alchemist Meadery, and they said that they had to go. It was an odyssey to find the correct bottle in which to package the mead.
Well, for us, I think that our biggest challenge for the bottle is, we like to provide as clear a mead as possible, and so we started out with some different kinds of bottles, but we really wanted to highlight, the clarity of our mead, and we wanted people to see exactly what they're buying. But the other part of it is we decided to go with the Zorks. It's like a traditional cork, but it's plastic, and you can I don't know, Michelle can probably describe it better than I can, but you unzip it
like
almost
like a milk ring. You think of your milk carton ring, and and I know there's other meaderies out there that are using the Zork product, and I personally like it because I really don't like corks and corkscrews, and I never seem to manage them appropriately. So when I first tried the Zork, I thought, well, this is really cool. I really like this. And so, the bottles that we use are really just kind of a standard wine bottle, 750 milliliter wine bottle that works with the Zork. We worked with the packaging corporation that, to make sure that those things were going to fit together well. And so we didn't have a whole lot of trouble. Like Wayne said, we had looked at frosted bottles at one point, and do we want to go with smaller bottles or different shaped? And as you start to get into the labeling piece of it, I'm like, standardized to some respect is just easier, because now I have my template and I know it's always going to fit and look right. And so so far we've kind of kept a pretty standardized line and things. We might shift off of that a little bit here and there as we move forward, but for now, a pretty straightforward, what you'd think of as your traditional wine bottle.
And nothing wrong with that. It's you were saying you count those pennies. That's where one of the places would be to watch those pennies to save the dollars. There are other things that will get you more profit faster.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching pennies, my father makes wine, and he liked the idea of the Zork as well, but he said the price was a little bit too prohibitive for his liking. Have they come down, or are they just cheaper in America?
I don't know what the price runs outside of the U.S., but I think that when we were looking at it, we were comparing, well, if you're doing a cork and then you have the little wrapper piece that goes around it.
A foil label.
you know, that we were going to have that, and then you'd have to have the equipment to make sure you're doing all those different processes. That we felt like, you know, it was worth it for us, and you know, it might be a little bit more overall, but that was one of those things where I thought, you know, I really like this, and being that meat is different and new, we thought that, you know, that Zork was maybe a good fit. And so far the customer response has also been positive on it, and they like, oh, I really like that, because we took some, neighbor bought some for an open house recently, and they're like, well, you know, they're not, obviously weren't much for wine drinkers, because she's like, well, we went out and bought a wine opener, you know, bottle opener. And I was like, oh, you don't need to. You know, you can just peel it right off. And so, you know, I like that aspect of it, you know, because I can't tell you how many times we've been on vacation and bought a bottle of wine and didn't bring a bottle opener with us. And so, you know, I got all the little extra bottle openers floating around, because we always have to go buy a new one when we're out. So,
if do the Zorks don't need any special thing to apply them to the bottle, then?
Pretty much just a bottle capper. It's just any sort of press, any pressure. You could do it by hand, but Sergio was kind enough to recommend a press for us, since we got a press from Italy, and it's worked out very well for us.
Apparently you can get away with the rubber mallet if you want, AJ.
Yeah.
I've heard that, but I have not been tempted to try that yet.
Personally, I've only done that with the champagne corks, the plastic ones.
Yeah, I've done that with champagne corks, because the palm of your hand gets really sore after the first
Yeah, those things are on the hands.
Yes, it does.
One of my favorite things with the Zorks, as opposed to other corks, is that Zorks, once you pull them out of the bottle, you can stick them right back in the bottle. It's not like a lot of corks these days that when you pull them out of the neck, then they expand, and then you've got to figure out, because like the bottom part will expand to be bigger than the neck, and then you have to flip it and stick it in the other way, which is introducing potential contamination.
Sticking the dirty end back in,
Exactly. So one of the things I love about the Zorks is that reusability while you're drinking the bottle, if it's not something that you finish in one sitting, which a lot of people don't, you know.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
So
that's why they're
like
more
that
expensive.
too.
Yeah, think whiskey bottles. A lot of whiskey bottles use a Zork-like cork.
Yeah, very similar.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I use champagne bottles with crown caps.
Yeah, which they work really well. Yeah, I got fortunate. I got 14 cases of champagne bottles and tops, champagne corks, from a friend who had ordered the wrong bottles and couldn't use them, so he sold them to me for next to nothing.
Nice.
Yeah, it was awesome. I was like, yes, I'll take them. So tell us a little bit more about the tasting room. You mentioned earlier that it was part of the living room and a couple of other areas. So what is that? You know, give us a visual picture, and do you have a patio, and what all is it going to be about?
Yeah, we have a very small deck. Very small. It's really more of an entry deck that comes up to the door. And we did install like a new entrance point so we can separate. We have the front of the house has a large sunroom, so it is basically solid windows on 3 sides.
Nice.
And it's just a really nice room. It's not huge by any means. It's probably about 14 by 25 or so, whatever that totals out to. So it's not a real big space in terms of that part, but the sunroom itself is just very pleasant to be in, and with the windows and the setting. And a lot of it's lined with cedar wood, and so it's just got a nice warm feel to it. And then we took our living room and converted that to part of our tasting room. So we put in a whole new handicap accessible restroom. We put in our sinks, and we have some of the space is more for our retail stuff. And so the little knick-knack fun things that you just kind of accumulate and want to have out for folks. And so we have, it's not like I said, not a huge space, but enough that we can have probably about 25 people or so if we were having more of an event style where people were seated at a table. And we've had some like group tasting events where we kind of walk through the line of our meads and talk about mead and what it is and how the process works. And so it's a nice number where everybody can be cozy yet not, feel too cramped, and so